Yeah, we're all real excited about it. These aren't things that we typically talk about, and we didn't really know this was happening until it happened. But, and Missy is pretty laid back, and, she doesn't talk about herself very much. And so it's pretty typical for something like that to happen to her without much, around it. And so, but when it does, we're pretty excited for her.
And looking ahead, what have you guys been able to see from Kansas State this year? They're still looking for their first conference win.
Yeah, we're not thinking about that part of it at all. This is a good team, and they had a really nice preseason. We're getting votes in the top 25 up until last week, and we're pretty familiar with them. Long, good blocking team. They do some things with the timing of their offense that's a little bit different than anybody else, so it's hard to read them sometimes, and they've got some upperclassmen that can get it done. So I expect it to be a tough match, just like all the rest of them.
And Coach, kind of talking about Iowa State also, I don't remember what the streak was, but however long you hadn't gone beating them, not just 23, there we go, not just coming back in the way you won the game, but just a victory like that over, whenever you talk about, turning the program around, and the Big 12 is a tough conference, to go against an opponent like that that's had your number for so long, is that something that you can build on, not just the way you won or the fact that you won, but who it was against?
Yeah, and for a different reason than the streak, because I didn't know what that streak was, and some things about our history we don't want to know, and that was one of them. I didn't care to know what that was. But for me personally, for our staff, Iowa State has always been a program that we've really modeled ourselves after, and it just seems that the things that they value as a program and their system and the way they do things are similar to what I value and how we train. And so, when you're able to knock off a team that you've really put up pretty high, and it's been something we've been looking at as a way for us to rebuild and to get them on Friday night. That was a big deal.
And I know one of the other things was talking about whenever you first got here, trying to becoming more the top level of the Big 12. Whenever there's still a long way to go, but to beat teams like an Iowa State like that, and you've already beaten Baylor, how does this team view itself right now, just as a complete team?
Well, I think we're just being ourselves. I think they always looked at themselves going into this year and knew that they were talented and knew that they could play. They just hadn't gotten those wins to prove it or, to put it all together. But I think in our minds we always figured that we were getting there and it was going to happen. You just don't know when or where. But, so Baylor got us going, and then you've just seen us take a different look about ourselves. And for me, all I've ever been asking them is to be able to look whoever we're playing straight in the eye and know that on that night that we can do it, and not to get too caught up in who we're playing or where or what the history is. And they do that every night now, so you see a big difference in us.
Coach, how different is this team from last year at this point? Not just the wins and losses, just the attitude behind the scenes, but the in-game mentality, all of that. How is all of that different compared to last year?
I think this year's team, the results are better, but I think this year's team is still trying to get better. I think that we still see room for us to grow and room for us to improve in a lot of different places. Whereas last year, I feel like we were a good team last year, and I felt like at this point of the year, we knew exactly who we were, and our range to get better was a little bit more limited. But we were very, very good with our first touch and our second touch, and our offense was good but not great. And this year, our offense has just really gone to a new place, and it's been our ball control that has been improving, but it's still not there yet. It's not as good as it's going to be, a month from now or whatever. And so that part we're excited about. I think our serve is a lot better. Our block is much, much better. And the balance in our offense is really good. So, we're able to do a lot of things this year that we couldn't do last year, but I still think that in our minds we know that there's room for us to get better.
You guys are on this 8-match win streak, which is starting to get a little bit of attention for the program. How nice is it knowing that this is where you're at now as opposed to where this program has been recently?
Awesome. It's just such a different feeling because I've been here for the tougher years, and it's so nice to go into like a practice like today just fired up, knowing that we have something to defend and like people to play for this Wednesday.
Go into more detail about that, because you've obviously had to kind of ride the wave of adversity, and you guys have overcome a lot. And so just to be able to be part of the program that is, you know, the best start in program history in Big 12 play, and for you guys to make the longest stretch that you did in postseason last year, I mean, that's really special. I mean, do you guys talk about that? Do you guys realize how special this group is and what you guys have accomplished?
I think we knew that, like, after last year, we knew we were going to be on to better things this year, but you can never assume with the Big 12 that you'll start 3-0. So that's been really exciting. It's just a totally different vibe with the team, like a little more confidence, just more fun, honestly.
And it's fun to watch you guys play, because you guys just have this really genuine nature about you guys and the way that you kind of love on each other and the relationships that you have. You guys are all really close. How would you describe the team dynamic right now?
Yeah, definitely super close. I mean, we're all just like Missy not telling us about 3,000 assists, you know, so happy for her. And then, like, you know, Brooks, the rookie of the week, that's wild. So we just, a lot of humble people, but we get excited for them.